I'm interested in all aspects of the product. So I spend quite a bit of my time speaking with our marketing and promotions teams. Really interested in the talk a minute ago about discovery and user acquisition, because some of that is the challenges that we face a lot of the time. We're really lucky in that we have TV channels, for example, and we can use them in our own kind of estate, as we kind of call it, to do that. But at the same time, we have a lot of different products and a lot of content and a lot of TV programs that we're competing with to try and get that promotional kind of ground, if you like. So that is a challenge and something that I spend a bit of my time doing and discussing with them, and even just trying to get the BBC as a traditional broadcaster at its heart to understand this new medium is kind of a challenge, and that's something that I speak to various stakeholders about. At the same time, I spend quite a lot of my time looking at the analytics and working with our analysts to try and think about where the opportunities are and where we should be focusing our efforts. I spend a lot of time speaking with my developers and my team about where they're having problems and making sure that we're really making the objectives and goals of what we're trying to achieve clear to them, because I think it's really, really important to all have a shared goal and have a shared kind of a feeling of achievement and ownership of the product. That's something that I think is really important and to a successful team and a successful business generally. I suppose like over the past 5 years it's just exploded, hasn't it? Initially it was very R&D, very experimental, and now it's becoming more and more mainstream. So I think people understanding it and being aware of it is increased hugely. Obviously the adoption of the devices and the prices that are kind of just dropping all the time means that the proliferation of them is just everywhere now. People have multiple devices in their home, in their kitchen and bedroom, etc. So I think that is something that has exploded a lot. At the same time, having the assistance in so many different devices, obviously all the smart devices that have gone crazy, from microwaves and fridge and light switches and anything that you can think of, and multiple devices being in things like multiple assistants being in things like TVs as well is something that is really interesting to see. I find it really interesting and I'm hoping to understand more in the future about how people are choosing. If you've got more than one assistant in a device, how do you choose which one to speak to, and what makes you make that choice? That's kind of all changing all the time, and it's just going to evolve and grow even more, I'm sure. I think one of the things that I'm really hoping is going to come out in the conversational AI and kind of voice space is standardization. I think we're kind of in those days now that mobile was kind of 10, 20 years ago, where you're just trying to kind of figure out who's going to be the winner in this space. There's kind of a lot of different competing just user interfaces and kind of methods of kind of communicating with these devices and assistants. And I'm really hoping that there's going to be some best practice and standardization, because I think that'll help us as developers and kind of companies, but it'll also help the audience to learn how to use these things, because they're confused at the moment and they're kind of not quite sure what to say, or whether to ask for a specific invocation or whether they can just treat it like a search engine and ask for specific things. And as you mentioned, it's different at the moment between Alexa and Google Assistant. So I'm hoping that over time that will standardize a bit more, so the audience can kind of have one unified way of understanding how to interact with these devices and assistants. I was just doing this kind of experimentation stuff with R&D in my old role in children's mobile apps, and I kind of just really felt like this could really be something. This could really be interesting and just so new. A new way of thinking, a new way of interacting, and that kind of really got me hooked. But at the same time, I suppose, I feel like we kind of went through a phase where these papers are coming out about like there's hundreds of skills and no killer app, and people aren't kind of using most of them. And then it kind of really makes you question, like, can we do this? Is this going to be a thing? Like, is it a non-starter? But I think it's really key to what you just said then, in that even if it evolves and changes and becomes something new, we're really on the beginning stages. As we kind of talked about, we're on the kind of Wright brothers' first step of not quite getting the aeroplane off the ground yet. We're still learning the techniques needed to control this kind of new platform. So it's going to be something big. It's just we've not figured it all out yet. We've got to work together to do this. And until we get that right, when we may not find the big killer app, and this standardization, I suppose, is what I'm hoping will come out of all the learnings that we find over the years to come.